Hello there, and welcome to episode number 8 of Articulate Thoughts, a personal blog of Adriel Choa. And today is Tuesday, October 11th. And today I want to talk about something that's been very, very challenging for me for quite a while. And it's this thing about giving unsolicited advice. And I just came across an experience last week where I saw a situation of this person giving unsolicited advice to a friend of mine, and I was just seeing how stressed out my friend was getting, and it was just not so great of a situation. And it's something that I could totally relate to because I used to do it all the time, and I guess I still do it to some degree, but not as aggressively and not as condescendingly as I used to in the past. So, one other thing that kind of threw some inspiration for me to talk about this week is I've been watching some Star Trek in the past few months, and there's a thing in Star Trek called the Prime Directive. So, some people who don't watch Star Trek or don't know what the Prime Directive is, so Star Trek is basically a TV series where people, like humans, are like way in the future and they have all this space technology and they're like traveling through the galaxy. And one of the Prime Directive is basically like a code or like an ethos that the Star Federation has. So if they come across a species with a lesser technology, that they wouldn't interfere with another species, like personal development or evolution. And I feel like giving unsolicited advice is kind of like breaking that first, like that Prime Directive concept. Like a lot of people have to kind of learn things on their own, and some people have to make the same mistakes over and over and over again to learn that lesson. And as an observer, or maybe as a friend or a family member, or just being a loved one to this person, it could be very challenging and hard to see someone go through something and not really be aware of what's going on, and they keep on making the same mistakes, or they're just kind of going through life and wondering, why is this all happening to me? I don't understand. And I feel like it's very, very easy to kind of step in and give your own 2 cents and just kind of, talk to this person, talk at them, and just kind of give your, advice. And I feel, like in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a dangerous thing because in the past I would do it and I would just be very, very forward and be very blunt and just straight up about it. And I just felt like, hey man, like I'm giving you some tough love and I'm just showing you something that you don't see but I see, and I just want you to like get better and be better, and I just want to help you out. But what I wasn't really considering and what I was thinking about was like, is this person even ready to see and accept what I see in their situation? And most of the times they weren't, and it was very detrimental, and it came across very harshly, and if anything, it kind of traumatized them, or kind of, in a way, I kind of emotionally beat them down in a way they kind of submitted and just kind of, was traumatized by it, and, felt a need to distance themselves from me or distance, it was just like a weird situation because they couldn't say it straight up, and I didn't really have the wisdom to really recognize that's what I was doing at the time. And, it's just one of those situations where I felt like I knew better, and then I go in there and just trying to impose like something I read in a book or something I watched in a video, and again, not really considering where this other person was. And what I've learned over time is like I don't know what's best for other people, and it's silly for me to even think about I know what's best for other people because they're in that situation and they can have access to all these like perceptions and feelings and ideas of their own situation, and it's like what I see in their situation is something that I'm projecting from my own perspective. And I guess you could say in a lot of ways it's just kind of me like not being brave enough to confront my own issues. So in order for me to feel like I know what I'm talking about, or I know what how life works or whatever, I have to step in someone else's shoes and tell them how to do it because I can't do it for myself. And then over time I just kind of realized like that's not the best way to go about making friends or being supportive of another person. The best way to do it is just be compassionate, be understanding, let them know I'm there for them if they need me, and wait for them to ask for advice. Just kind of live my life, do my thing, and then they can recognize if I have some sort of information that I could give to them to help their situation. It's not to say that I haven't like stopped doing this entirely. It's just something that I've become more aware of. But to be aware of it and to actually make that change is, two different things. There's that saying 5 minutes to learn, a lifetime to master, or the other saying to know and not do is not to know. So awareness is like always that first step, but then actually doing things, like that's where the real work begins. So yeah, so like unsolicited advice is just something I'm trying to stray away from. I just don't like. I'm just kind of ranting on and talking on about it because I saw this one experience with my friend, and it just stressed her out so bad that this other person was just kind of like imposing all this information, projecting all of what they thought was best and whatnot. So, with that being said, if anyone's watching this and in the past I have been giving unsolicited advice and kind of made you feel bad about yourself or was being condescending, and that I apologize for that. Like just wasn't in a place where I was ready to focus on myself, or was escaping from focusing on myself. So, yeah, apologize for anyone that I acted that way to in the past. And yeah, so thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope it was helpful in some way. It definitely was for me. So yeah, tune in next Tuesday, and yeah, enjoy your week.